Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I am so excited to do. It's going to be a chatty get ready with me, and the topic of today's video is chatting about 5 different books that have been life-changing. Today's video is going to be a collab with one of my dear friends on YouTube. I'm so excited to collab with her. This is with Michele Wang. If you are not familiar with Michelle's channel yet, of course she's going to be linked in my description box. Her channel, her video will be down there. Please go check her out, especially if you enjoy high-end luxury products. That is what her channel mainly focuses on. She has so many good review videos over there, demo videos, comparisons. I mean, she's really in the know with these, like, you know, tippy top high-end luxury brands. Like, she's got it going on. She's just so kind and calm in her videos. I love clicking on her videos because she's just gonna chat with you like she's chatting with a friend. I just recommend her so much. I've featured her in one of my makeup monthlies in the past as my creator spotlight of the month, and I just think that she does great things over there. So I approached her and I said, you know, would you like to do a collab with me? And she came up with the idea of doing the Get Ready With Me, talking about these 5 life-changing books. And I love that idea because if you guys are new here, hello. But if you might not know that I started my career in social media as a book blogger in 2009. I started a blog in, you know, almost 10 years ago. October is 10 years that I started Chicklet Plus and doing book reviews and author interviews. And I'm also a published author of 7 novels, with my 8th one in the pipeline right now. So books are a huge part of my life. Books are, I mean, I can't live without my books. I read every single day. I read a book about every 2 to 3 days is kind of the schedule that I'm on. You know, I get books in PR from authors, from publishing companies. I've been able to do some really cool things with my book blogging career that I'll chat about in this video. But books are they just mean so much to me, and truly they've had such an impact on my life. From even me sitting down right now to film this video on my YouTube channel, you can see as we go through this video my journey with books and how it's gotten me here. So I love when she came up with this idea. You know, both of us obviously are beauty and makeup related content focused channels, if you will, and I am doing the Get Ready With Me. I have a couple new products. I'm using the new Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless foundation, also the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. So I do have these 2 new products in here, but really the main focus of today's video is to chat about these 5 books and share some of my stories with you. So I'm really excited to check out what Michelle's 5 books are going to be. I can't wait to watch her video. But if you'd like to see how I got this look and also about these 5 life-changing books, why don't we go ahead and get started. Hello. Welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna get started with the face. I do have my hair clipped back with my Samantha hair clip. We're really upgrading the hair clips for today's video. This was also a gift, but I feel kind of bad and bougie with this hair clip, and I'm not gonna lie to you. So like I said, I do have the new Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless foundation. I am super excited. I was going to purchase this myself, and the day that it was released on Sephora, I got an email from Charlotte Tilbury saying to pick a shade and they would send one over to me, and I was like, score! Like, I was just so excited because I really do want to try this out. So for my primer, I'm just going to use the one from Fenty Beauty. This is the Pro Filter Hydrating. Is that what it is? The Pro Filter Hydrating Primer that came out with their hydrating foundation. I really do like this primer, and I don't feel like it really affects the foundation. Like, it's not super mattifying. It's not super hydrating to me. It's kind of just more of like a smoothing primer, which I like a lot. And I've been using this primer with a few of my like first impression foundations because I just got this box in. So I have not tried the Charlotte Tilbury foundation, but definitely been trying a lot of foundations. And I'm probably going to do another ranking new foundation video because I think I already have 4, if not 5, to put in that video. Like, it is the time of foundation for sure. Okay. So like I mentioned in the intro, kind of the big focus of this video is to chat about these 5 life-changing books. I love that Michelle had this idea because obviously, you know, I'm such a huge book lover. There was so many books that I could choose from. It was kind of overwhelming. I was like, how in the world? I feel pretty happy with my list. So for the first book, definitely I have to mention Kristy's Great Idea by Ann M. Martin. Now, if you are not familiar with the Babysitter's Club, I just looked up the other day when the series started. And now I can't remember off the top of my head, and my phone is charging in the other room, shoot. But I started reading these books when I was in grade school. So, I mean, they have been around for a very long time. This has really beautiful packaging. I really like this. I picked out the shade 5 Neutral from the Charlotte Tilbury site. It does have a pump, and I'm just using one of my sponges. This is one of the Shop Missy sponges, one of the Paw Paw sponges, so it's like $1.55 for the sponge, which I think is pretty great. Shade match might be slightly yellow. I think this was supposed to be, I think it was like 5 Neutral or something that I picked out, but maybe not too bad, but let's just see. But you know, I read books before the Babysitter's Club series before I started getting into them, but I just really took to the Babysitter's Club. It was just such a wholesome series, and especially as I got older and I would continue to read the stories and read about the teenagers who started a Babysitter's Club and, you know, the different friendships. It's funny because I write a lot of friendship fiction, and it's one of my favorite genres to read myself. And it's funny that until really I was sitting down and like planning this video, I was like, the Babysitter's Club is friendship fiction. It really is. Like, there's younger characters than I read now, because these girls are like 13, 14, 15 in the books, but it's still friendship fiction, and, you know, dealing with, you know, fights with friends and you know, school drama and boy drama and family drama and, you know, all of that. But it really is friendship fiction at the core. So that was kind of interesting for me to remember, I guess, or realize. And there is so many different, I mean, there's like hundreds of Babysitter's Club books. There's the regular series, there's like the super special series, there's the mystery series, there's the travel series, all within the Babysitter's Club umbrella. And I chose out Kristy's Great Idea because it was the very first book. It was the very first one that kicked it off. It was the first Babysitter Club book that I ever read that I started to get into the series. But it also definitely very much inspired me. You know, I was the girl who started a Babysitter's Club with like some neighborhood friends when I was younger. I started the dog walking service. I was always the one that like, let's do lemonade stands, let's sell Crispy treats, like let's do this or that. And I feel like a lot of my ideas really stemmed from reading the Babysitter's Club. It definitely kind of sparked that like entrepreneurship in me, and later I went on to go to a business college. My associate's degree is in travel, and then my bachelor's degree is in business with an emphasis in entrepreneurship. So, and you know, right now, like, I'm self-employed. Like, I've always wanted to be my own boss. I always wanted to do my own thing, and I feel like I can credit a lot of the Babysitter's Club with that. So in that way, it is, you know, kind of a life-changing book. Okay, so for the foundation, let me get close here. I feel like this looks really nice on my skin. Slightly yellow shade match. I don't know if you'll be able to really tell on camera, just slightly though. Not too bad, but otherwise pretty good. It does look a little bit more of like medium to full coverage. I do have some breakouts right here. They're not completely covered, but other than that, it really did cover up a lot. Off the bat, I think that I'm pretty happy with it. It does feel pretty lightweight on the skin. There's just a few areas where I feel like I noticed that it kind of looks heavy, like kind of around this area. I feel like it just looks slightly heavy, and like maybe around like this area here, maybe just a little bit on the heavier side, but the finish looks more of a natural finish to me right now. We'll see how it goes throughout the day. I will leave a pinned comment, since I'm filming this on Tuesday and this video is going up Friday. I will leave a pinned comment so you can see. I'll give a little update on how the foundation wore for me. And of course, when I do first impressions, I do always come back to review all the products. Like I said, I'll probably put this in a new ranking video, but so far so good. So far so good. But also with the Babysitter's Club, I really credit that series for kind of keeping me in line. I went through a lot as a child. I was abused at a young age. I went through sexual abuse. I went through physical abuse. I went through a lot of hardships in my family life. And there was so many different points where I feel like I just really could have gone off the rails, that I really could have gone down the wrong path. I could have made the wrong decisions. And reading something like the Babysitter's Club, again, I mentioned the word wholesome. It really taught me a lot of values and a lot of life lessons in that book, and how to, like, if you are having a hardship, how do you come over that? What are the best ways to do that? And with these books, especially being written in the 90s, you know, it kind of reminds me of, like, you know, I watched an episode of Saved by the Bell the other day, one of the older episodes of Saved by the Bell, and it was like, oh, the problems that we were going through in the 90s, like, or that it at least was being discussed in like the early 90s, you know, is so different from what we have today. But I feel like I really took a lot away from those stories, and it really truly did help me, especially when I was kind of alone for a period of time and didn't really have an adult in my life to try to help me navigate the waters of what was going on. I was able to turn to these books and turn to these stories and really learn and take away from there. So that to me also is why the Babysitter's Club series in general, but especially just, again, the first book, Kristy's Great Idea, is why I really credit that as being life-changing. I've talked about the Babysitter's Club books in past videos, again, kind of referencing how helpful those books were to me as a very impressionable child when you're going through very transformative years and kind of learning who you are and getting a little bit older and entering school and friends and all of this, and then especially to have so much junk going on in your life, it can just be kind of overwhelming. And those books really did help me keep me grounded. So you know, the Babysitter's Club, Kristy's Great Idea, those books, I definitely had to mention. I have so much respect for Ann M. Martin, and the other day I saw the author of the series. I saw she was following me on Twitter. Like, I almost died when I saw that. It was so funny. I don't think I've written anyone more fan letters than I have Ann M. Martin. I have, you know, back when, like, in the books there would be like a P.O. box that you could write to, like the Babysitter's Club fan club. I wrote in so many books, like pouring my heart out to Ann M. Martin, saying thank you to her. So those books will just always, they'll just always have a special place for me. I'm gonna use my e.l.f. Camo Concealer here, since I don't have a new concealer. If there's anything new that I'm not touching on and I just kind of am going along with my makeup, I will have everything linked down below. Really the main point of this video is, you know, kind of the chit chat about the books, but there's just, especially the Charlotte foundation and then the Urban Decay Naked palette, I really wanted to touch on those. So the other things I'll probably just, you know, kind of chat through them, but you can always check the description box if I don't mention what something is. But the second book that I wanted to mention is Something Borrowed, and this is by Emily Giffin. I read Something Borrowed when I was still in college. I had a friend read it and she recommended it to me. She's like, I just feel like you would really like this book. You know, I felt like it was really good. So I borrowed it from a friend and I read it, and I was so moved by this book. I mean, as I'm reading it, again, kind of friendship fiction. We have two main female leads here, and I mean, there's a lot that goes on in this book. It's been made into a movie now, and I definitely prefer the book over the movie. Sometimes I'm one of those when it comes to books and movies, but this was a book that moved me in so many different ways that all I wanted to do was talk to someone about this book. I wanted to get other people's feedback. I wanted to hear, like, whose side are you on? What did you think of the ending? Like, I just wanted to talk to people about this book. And even though I had a friend who had read it and she enjoyed it and obviously, like, recommended it to me, when I sat down to talk to her about it, she didn't have like, we could have a conversation about it, but I didn't feel like she was as like, oh, as I was about this book. And I just felt so passionate about it and I wanted to talk to people. And at this point, I'm in college. I'm in my last year of college. I'm about 19, 20 years old, somewhere in that arena. And I had known that I wanted to write a book one day. I've known that I've wanted to be an author since I was a little girl. I've always known that since I was 9 years old. Truly, I have it written down in, like, the books that my mom would fill out at the beginning of each school year, like, what's my favorite song, what's my favorite color, what do I want to be when I grow up? It was always author, 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 author. That is always what I've wanted to do. And I had told myself, you know, as I am preparing to graduate high school and all of that, and it's, you know, what do I want to do with my life? I'm thinking that being an author is like trying to make it in Hollywood. Like, there's just no chance sitting here in Iowa, having no connections to the industry. There's no way I'm going to make it as an author. There's no way I'm going to be discovered. At this time, Amazon was not the Amazon it is now. There was no such thing as Kindle. There was no such thing such as self-publishing. So I kind of thought it was like a pipe dream. So I told myself, you need to go to a regular college, you need to get your degree, And then once you graduate, if you decide that writing is still your thing and you still really want to do it, then you can pursue it, but you have to have your regular degree first, because this is probably not going to work out, you know, that's what I'm telling myself. At the time I read Something Borrowed, there was already so many feelings stirring in me, like I want to do more with this. I had already started writing my first novel even before I graduated college, because I was like, it's still there, I still want to do this. So I had already started writing it. And after reading that book, I decided to start my blog. So I started a blog in 2009. It's called Chicklet Plus. I wanted it to be just kind of like a women's lifestyle blog. I wanted it to be focused on, you know, book reviews and author interviews. I wanted to review makeup. I wanted to talk about fitness and fashion, and, you know, just like a very multifaceted blog is what I wanted this to be. But like I said, I did also want it to be focused on book reviews, and I really wanted to meet other people that got so fired up reading a book as I did with Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin, that we could just talk about it online. I didn't feel that I had a lot of people in my real life that were as passionate about me as a lot of different topics. So at this point now, you know, for the difference between the Babysitters Club to Something Borrowed is the internet is here. Blogging was a huge thing in 2009. Everybody had a blog, right? And so I was like, I am going to start this because I want to find people that get so hyped up over books as I do, that you just want to talk to anybody about it. You want to have these discussions about it. And so after reading that book, I researched, you know, how to start a blog. I had to save up my money because I was still in college and I didn't have a lot of money. I saved up $300. I can remember the amount. I saved up $300 so I could hire someone to put the blog together for me, because I'm not a very technical person, especially when it comes to like design, HTML, coding, you know, all that stuff. I had no idea how you created a blog, so I had to hire someone to do that for me. So that book truly is life-changing to me, because it started such a fire in me that, yes, I had this idea, you know, I knew that I wanted to start a blog one day, but that book is what really put me over the edge of being like, all right, no more waiting around, no more procrastinating, no more, oh, one day I'm going to do this, one day I'm going to do that. No, like that book was like, you're gonna do it right now. So that was Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin. I still highly recommend the book. I started YouTube. It was as a book channel. It was kind of more of an extension of my blog, which had pretty much gotten to be like 90% focused on books at this point, because I had a couple authors tell me, you know, if you want to be really serious about books and all of that, you can't keep putting makeup on your blog. You can't keep putting outfits on your blog. Like, you need to be focused on books and books only. And I really took that to heart, because I was like, well, I mean, they know more than me. So, you know, I kind of really shut down the other like lifestyle parts of my blog and really just focused on books. So when I started a YouTube channel, it was really kind of an extension of that. And then I was like, you know what, like I should be able to talk about beauty over here too, because that's what kind of really drew me to YouTube, was the beauty channels. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring, you know, that aspect of my blog back, and I'm so happy I did. And then, you know, eventually this kind of transitioned more to beauty, and my blog is mostly focused on books now, but you know, sometimes they do overlap one another. But I still have all my book videos up. I still have my first video up. I know a lot of people go on to like delete their old videos. I don't care. Like, you can see where I started from and to see where I am now. But one video that I posted was like 5 of like my greatest experiences with starting Chicklet Plus, or something along those lines, right? I'm going to use this face palette from Ofra. This is the collab with Madison Miller. So you have 2 blushes and, or I'm sorry, you have a blush and 2 highlights inside. I really like the blush in here. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some of this. But one of the stories that I tell is getting to interview Emily Giffin on the phone. You know, this is an author who made such an impact on me that she inspired me to do something bigger and to really be so focused and passionate on what I wanted to achieve. One of her books did that. That is life-changing to me. So I don't know why I'm getting emotional, because that's who I am, but to be able to have a conversation with her on the phone and to be able to tell someone that you look up to so much how much they inspired you, that was just one of my best moments, just truly ever, to have that opportunity. And I got that opportunity because I was a book blogger. You know, I was chosen, there was, I think it was like 5 book bloggers. We were chosen by the, I think it was like the publishing company, to be able to host this phone interview with Emily. And it was before Something Borrowed came out as a movie, so she was doing, you know, a lot of different like press features for it. And to be chosen to do that and to get that opportunity is something I'll never forget. I can remember pacing around my living room. It was when I lived in our condo with Mitch, just an hour before this phone interview, just walking around, just wringing my hands. I was so nervous. I was sweating. I had 3 glasses of water in that bedroom because I was like, I'm just gonna get parched. I'm gonna lose my voice. I mean, I was just so thrilled and so anxious to do that. So it was just such a great experience, and one that I'll never forget. But, you know, truly Something Borrowed definitely is a life-changing book, because obviously from starting my blog to getting published to, you know, gaining more of a social media platform to being on YouTube, I mean, everything has led me to where I am. I have worked for 10 years to get to where I am today. I'm definitely not at an end point. I'm not at a stopping point. I want to keep going. I want to keep growing, to keep reaching more people, to write more books, to share more stories, and all of that. But, you know, it really started 10 years ago, reading that book and getting so motivated to finally go ahead and start my blog. So highly recommend Something Borrowed from Emily Giffen. Okay, I did go ahead and do my brows off camera, and before we jump into the third book, I'm going to start my eyes. And like I said, I do have the Naked Honey palette from Urban Decay. So this is going to be the first time that I am trying out this palette. It does come with the double-ended brush. I did get this sent over to me in PR. So to jump into an eye look, I'm just going to first pick up a flyby and kind of this bigger side of the brush and just apply this all over the lid. I'm going to pick up the shade Swarm, the third one in the palette here, and I'm just going to use that same brush and start to apply that into my crease here. And then I'm going to switch brushes to get a more of like a larger, fluffier blending brush. This is from Bdellium Tools, the 785 tapered blending. And I'm going to pick up the shade Keeper, just another matte here. And then I'm also going to really blend that along the crease and along the eyelid here too. I want to do something just a little bit simple with the palette, especially because today's video is not like my traditional trying new makeup. It's more of this kind of chatty get ready with me, but I still did want to use it because I know I've had a lot of people ask me about it, so I thought it would be a good palette to pull in here. So I'm just going to try to do something a little bit quick and simple so we can kind of keep on task here. And then I want to pick up this really pretty shimmer at the end here. This is HBIC. I'm going to use the other end of the Urban Decay brush. And I'm just going to go into it dry first and see how it looks. Okay, so I think that it looks pretty, and I think that it is showing up, but I want to just do, I want it to have a little bit more of an oomph. So I'm going to add a little bit more to my brush there and then just spray with some setting spray. And again, just kind of apply this. Ooh, see, I think that just looks so much better with the setting spray, and apply that right in there. That looks like liquid honey. Okay, that looks really pretty. So I want to jump into the third book as I go over here to my other eye, just picking up more of that HBIC shade and spraying it with my brush. The third book I wanted to mention is Destined to Fail, and this is by Samantha March. So that is me. That is my debut novel. That is the first book that I published. Obviously, this is a very life-changing book for me because I was able to, you know, with publishing that book, I was able to complete a goal that I had for myself as a young child, you know, so obviously very life-changing for that. It kicked off my career. I now have 7 published novels, with my 8th one, you know, soon on the way here. It's in proofreading right now. It opened up a lot of doors for me. You know, as an author, I've had some really cool opportunities, speaking engagements, book signings that I've been able to do. So it's just, it's super scary publishing a book, especially Destined to Fail is a very personal story. The first half of the main character's story is definitely my story, the abuse that I've gone through, kind of how hard I had to work just to get to college and that sort of thing. Once she goes off to college, that's where the book splits more into fiction, and I was able to use my creativity to come up with some of the, you know, storylines for the characters there. But also, you know, what's so funny about this book, I've always been very passionate about helping girls who have gone through hardships, because, you know, besides the books that I was reading, I didn't really have that in real life. Like I mentioned, you know, when I'm 11 years old and I was going through an abusive situation, I didn't have the internet to turn to. I mean, I don't even know if I would at 11, but you know, it just wasn't topics that were discussed. I just didn't have help. And then even when it came, you know, down the road and eventually came to college, I didn't really have help when it came to college. And you know, I'm still paying off my student loans to this day, and I've always had this passion in me to do something to help girls. And this book was published in 2011, and in Destined to Fail, the character goes on to do just that, to create kind of this shelter, this safe space for girls to go to. So that's always been a dream of mine. It's always been something that I've been working towards, and it's always something that I've wanted to have a very big voice about. So, you know, to kind of put that out there into the world of, you know, this is a huge goal that I have, this is something that I'm always striving for. Destined to Fail is just so life-changing to me in so many ways. I can remember getting the first emails. You know, I still have the emails saved from readers who read Destined to Fail and who would message me to say how relatable they thought the book was, and how, you know, they've gone through certain situations in the book too, and how they were able to feel not so alone reading the character, you know, going through her certain issues. And one email that I got, or one book review that came in from a book blogger, said, "I want to give this book to every woman I know." And that is something that I'll never forget either, because, you know, I just had this crazy idea. I want to write books. I want to be able to share my stories, because hopefully what I've gone through can help someone else who's going through that same situation or something similar. And so to start to get all of this feedback from people saying that they can relate, they don't feel alone, it feels like it's helped them, that's, I mean, that's beyond life-changing for me. I have a storytelling personality. I love doing these get ready with me videos because I love to sit down and tell stories. It's what I know, and it's what I want to do, and it's what I have so much fun with. So again, that just publishing my first book just kind of put me on this path to keep doing more. And I'm so glad that from reading Kristy's great idea and being so inspired to be an entrepreneur, and for keeping on the right path, and for, you know, keeping going, not dropping out of school when times got hard and I couldn't afford to be at school. I couldn't eat the lunches because I didn't have lunch money, but I still kept going, you know, even though I would be embarrassed that other kids would know I was going through weird things. And did she just wear the same outfit 4 days in a row? Like, why is she not going home to change? To going through all of that and still keep going because the Babysitters Club showed me how to make the right decisions, from reading Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin to getting so inspired to finally get that book blog up there, to finally start making connections in the industry to publish my own book, to getting to Destined to Fail, and to finally publishing my own novel and starting my career as a published author. You know, so these books are definitely life-changing stories and books that I do want to share with you, but you can see how they really helped map out my path. So of course I just felt like I had to include Destined to Fail. Of course, all these books are going to be linked down below. I always have my Amazon link in all of my videos in case you are a reader and you're interested in picking any of them up. So yeah, did have to include that one. So I added some brown liner to my waterline, and I'm gonna mix a little bit of Keeper and also Hive on a pencil brush and run that onto my lower lash line. And then for the inner corner, I think I'm going to pick up a little bit of honey here on just like a smaller brush, and I'm going to put this into the inner corner. Like you guys have seen, like the pops of yellow on the inner corners, super popular. I never know if I can like pull it off the best, but like I've tried in the past, and I've tried it with like the Honey palette and things like that. I just don't know if I don't know if it's the best on me. Sometimes they go more of like a wild inner corner. I just don't feel like I can pull it off the best. So I don't have a new mascara. I'm just using my CoverGirl Exhibitionist here. Okay, to finish off the face, again, I'm going to use a highlighter from the Madison collab. I'm just going to use this first one here. So the fourth book is actually another series that I want to mention, and this is another girlfriend series. These books, the first one that I read was called When Girlfriends Step Up. This is by Savannah Page. The first book in the series, though, is actually When Girlfriends Break Hearts. I read them out of order. Savannah contacted me because as a book blogger, I received the majority of my books in PR, just like I would with makeup. You know, they're in exchange for doing a review on my blog and a review on Amazon and all of that. So Savannah reached out to me with the second book in the series and asked if I would review it. I said yes. I didn't realize it was part of a series, so as I'm reading it, I'm kind of like, what in the world? Like, where did that come from? What is that going on? And then like I wasn't finished with the story yet, and then I caught on to it was a series. So I went back and read the first one, and then I've read everything else in the series. And I mean, this series really inspired the 6 series that I'm, you know, in the process of writing now. Kristy and Scarlett are already published. Lauren is about to be, you know, published. That's the book that is in proofreading. And you know, like I said, I've always loved friendship fiction. I've always loved reading about girlfriends, even back again with the Babysitters Club. So I just had the best time with this series, and even though I always knew I wanted to write something kind of as like an homage to the Babysitters Club, the first character that got published in the 6th, her name is Kristy Martin. Kristy's great idea, Anna Martin. Like, that was my like nod to the Babysitters Club and like a thank you to the Babysitters Club. But really, I just so enjoyed reading this series, and it was a couple years ago, but it still, like, it kind of re-energized me again of like, you know, I've written, I'm trying to think how many books I had written at that time, maybe 4 when I first started reading the series, and I was like, get back to, you know, you always wanted to take on a series, you always thought this would be so much fun to write that girlfriend series, but reading Savannah's series really helped pep me up and inspire me and get me back on track. Like, you can do it. Writing a series is hard. There's a whole other undertaking than when it comes to just writing a standalone, which is what my other books are. You can read them in any order. But it's hard because, especially, I have 6 characters. That's a lot of girlfriends to keep track of. That's a lot of appearances, jobs, love life, friendships, family life, their personal dramas that's going on, their tics, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, what's their nervous tic, is there a word they constantly repeat, what drink is their favorite, what food do they like, do they have pets, what do they want for their future, what are their goals. That is a lot to take care of, even when you're just handling 1 or 2 main characters, but to handle 6, that's a whole different undertaking. And there's also this kind of almost like a rushed feeling when it comes to a series, because you have 6 books that I have 6 books that I'm putting out. Prior to publishing the 6th Kristy, I was at 1 book a year coming out, right? Like 1 book a year that's coming out. And I'm like, okay, so am I taking the next 6 years to only write this 6th series? Like, no, I want to publish sooner and quicker than that. And so when I published the 6th Kristy, the response for that book was so insane and not at all what I expected. You know, that was my 6th novel. I was pretty much like, I kind of knew what to expect at this point when I was putting out books and what would happen, how many books I would sell, how many books I needed on pre-order. And Kristy completely blew me away. After releasing Kristy and getting the response and the reviews and the excitement, I wrote Scarlett in 6 weeks. I have never written a book that fast in my life, but that is how inspired my audience and my readers made me, and I just flew through Scarlett. I published Kristy in May of 2018. I published Scarlett in October of 2018. I've never published books that quick to one another. Unfortunately, the 6th Lauren has just gone through so many delays. Like I said, Scarlett came out last October. We're in September now. It is in proofreading. It does have a cover and all of that, and we're kind of in the last stages of publishing here. But with moving to a new city and, you know, some technical computer laptop issues that I've had, unfortunately, Lauren kept getting pushed back and kept getting pushed back. But she is done now, which I'm very excited about. A lot of different struggles that can come with writing a series, or fears, or just like apprehensions to writing a series. So even though I always knew I wanted to do it and I always had it in my mind, I was like, can I actually make this happen? And I just got so inspired once again reading Savannah Page's girlfriend series that I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. And so that led me to publishing the 6 Kristy. And like I said, honestly, publishing the 6 Kristy was truly, I mean, kind of life-changing for me. There was such a huge response for it, you know, how quickly I was able to put out the 6 Scarlet because of the feedback. And I mean, I was just so overwhelmed and so blown away. And I felt like when I published the 6 Kristy, like I really felt like I was coming to as an author. Like I just felt different publishing that book, and I felt, you know, almost like I was getting a little bit more respected from my peers as well in the author community. And you know, others were seeing like how great the numbers were doing and how well the reviews were and different things like that. And I was really like, oh my gosh, like this is really freaking cool to me. So, you know, I have so much respect for Savannah Page. I think her series is great. Again, these will be linked down below. I highly recommend you check it out. The first book is When Girlfriends Break Hearts, and I definitely recommend that you do read it in a series. Don't be like me and read it out of order. I would definitely start from the first one, but had to mention that series as well. I'm just gonna pop on a nude lip quick. This is Stark Naked from Urban Decay. I am actually, like I said, I'm filming this on Tuesday. I'm doing a live after this, a YouTube live, but I'm also having to eat lunch in the middle of it, so I'll probably change up my lipstick or such. So again, this is just Stark Naked from Urban Decay. So the 5th book that I wanted to mention is one that I'm slightly cheating because I'm still reading this one, but I'm over halfway through and I have pages and pages of notes. And I really did want to mention also like a nonfiction, kind of more of like your self-help type book, if you will, because I've been reading more of these lately. I've been listening to more podcasts recently, and I feel like they are really helping keeping me focused, keeping me motivated. And I just really wanted to mention one. And there's a few that I could mention, but truly this book, I'm just really being blown away by how much information I'm learning. And that is Smart Women Finish Rich, and this is by David Bach. So I actually listened to David in a podcast with Rachel Hollis. She has the Rise podcast. I listened to his interview and I was really quite motivated when I heard it, and I went on to do like research a couple things that he had mentioned in there. And then I mentioned last month in one of my YouTube videos that I was going to try to start incorporating more of these nonfiction books into my reading materials, because mostly I do read fiction because that is what I'm reviewing for my blog. Again, 99% of what I read is sent to me to review on Amazon and also Chicklet Plus. But I bought the book myself. I bought the Kindle version, and again, I just have pages of notes right now. I think I'm only like 54% in on my Kindle. I obviously handle my own finances, but it's not an area that I feel very well equipped in. A lot of things confuse me, like retirement accounts and IRAs, and especially being self-employed with health insurance and taxes, deductions, like all these other things. I don't feel like I'm the best at it, and I wish I had, you know, some help in that area. But I feel like reading this book, I'm definitely really learning a lot. Again, I've taken a lot of notes, I've done some research from the book, and it's really truly been helping me learning how to save money for myself. You know, learning little tips and tricks of what to cut out, or what, like even just how to think differently when it comes to money, paying yourself first, you know, that sort of thing. When you get a check, like how to automatically set up, you know, for the retirements accounts. There's a whole section in there that's been really very helpful to me. I switched up my finances just from like reading 10% of that book. I was already switching up how we were doing a couple things with our bank accounts and things like that. So I feel like I'm just learning so much. So I really wanted to mention that because I can truly feel getting myself getting more knowledgeable and just learning more in an area that I do not feel at all like I'm an expertise. I don't feel like I'm advanced. Like I feel very, very low on the totem pole when it comes to knowing certain things like that. And I just feel like I'm taking away so much from this book. So I really wanted to make sure that I was recommending it too, because like I said, I did reference that I wanted to start reading it last month, and I wanted to let you know that I am reading it, and I really do recommend it right now. Definitely wanted to recommend Smart Women Finish Rich by David Bach. I'm gonna be really excited to see what I think once I get to the end too, and just how much I've learned and how much I've been able to change and have that effect on, you know, my little family that I have right now. So that is the 5th and final book, and also that is the end of this makeup look. Woo! I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was a lot of fun using those few different products. So far I'm still really liking the Charlotte foundation. Everything is still looking pretty good. I liked the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette. I felt like, just kind of off first glance, it was what I would expect from the Naked palette. I liked the mattes. Shimmers usually work well or work better with a setting spray. Everything else that I used will be linked in my description box down below, of course. And I really hope you enjoyed hearing about these 5 books. All of them will be linked. I'm so excited to hear what Michelle's 5 books are going to be. So of course her channel is going to be linked in my description box. If you have not yet checked her out, please, you must. I think that she is so kind, and she just makes such great informative videos. And you know, again, if you love high-end luxury, you are going to love Michelle's channel. She has so much content over there for you, and I just think that she is amazing. So I'm so glad that we were able to collab together, and I thought that this topic was really so much fun. But other than that, guys, if you did enjoy today's video, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. I hope that you also consider subscribing before you go, and I will see you in Sunday's video. Bye.